And welcome back to the channel, guys. Tool reviews of tools I use. Today I'm going to take you through a quick review of the Faithfull box spanner set. They're a really good tool to own around the house. Extremely cheap and extremely faithful. Well, you can't break a box spanner set. They're really sturdy and strong. They'll probably outlive all of us. So let's get to it. So this is the box that they came in. Nice and simple, just all the stats and what have you. So it's got a Tommy bar included. It's plated with corrosion resistant paint. It's pretty much galvanized, really. Durable steel construction, as expected. They're just pieces of pipe that have been stamped into box spanner shapes. I find them really useful for working on cars, lawn mowers, plumbing jobs, etc. This is what it came in. Kind of roll-up pouch. To be honest, the thing that lets all these box spanner sets down, and it's almost across the board, bar a few, is the pouch that they come in. They're really cheap and nasty. They don't put any effort into them, which is a bit of a shame because they could do with being organised, but these things tend to just break after a few months of use, regular use. So it's just got this little kind of, just do a quick left over right, right over left, and there you go. So it opens up. You've got the Faithfull branding just there. Okay, so you've got sizes 6 all the way up to 22 millimeters. I strongly advise that you get, if you're going to buy a box spanner set, that you get a set with a good range such as this. Get the larger sets. Usually the half sets go up to, say, I think they go up to size 15s or something along those, but basically about halfway there. Try and get the bigger set because you're probably going to want one of the larger ones after a little while, and then you end up having to buy 2 sets anyway. So don't make that mistake like I have over the years. I've still got my smaller box spanner set. I wish I'd just got this initially. They're so cheap. For the extra couple of pounds, it's really worth it. So the reason I picked the Faithfull was one of the things that sold it to me, because they're all pretty much the same across the board, like I say, across the different brands and what have you, probably made in the same place. But the thing that appealed to me about the Faithfull was this. So the fact that the spanners are actually stamped, so they're actually like all the way through the metal. So you're not going to bash it off. But when these inevitably end up in your toolbox, tool bag, or whatever, getting bashed about, all this finish is going to come off. What a lot of manufacturers are doing now is they're making it very cheap on themselves by just painting the sizes on there, which is it's pretty gash, really, doing that. You really want them stamped through there, so no matter how much this finish comes off it, I'm always going to know what sizes I'm dealing with, and that's really useful. Quality wise, I'd say they're really nicely formed, very nicely formed. Considering, as I say, they're just a cheap set of box spanners. So your ranges, as you can see, obviously it's 2 sizes per box spanner, and you've got your Tommy bar just on the edge here, which gives you that nice leverage. If you're not overly familiar with box spanners, that basically just fits into there, and that gives you your leverage to turn. A lot of the time you can just use the box spanner just by holding it tight with your hand and just turning it. Very good old school tool, like I say. When you need them, you need them. So what's the benefits of using box spanner? It's basically the thin wall that we're talking about on this pipe. The ability to get into spaces that sockets might otherwise struggle with. Again, because you haven't got the ratchets and all the rest of it. I know we have extension bars and things, but these are made in a day before socket sets and so on. But there's some times where it's still viable just to get that piece of pipe just in there and turn it, especially in plumbing applications, back nuts on taps, spark plugs. So yeah, the big thing in particular is, say you've got a threaded bar there with a nut down there, and a socket will get to a certain point and then it will stop about there on it, whereas this box spanner will go all the way down over the threaded bar, undo it, and away you go. Really, just when you need it, you need it. They're fantastic. Good to have, and at the price that they come in at, you can't go wrong. Come in usually anywhere between about, say, £8 to £15, somewhere like that. Really good set to have. So we've gone through all the good stuff. Let's go through a few of the bad things to do with these. So I noticed with this particular one that the 14-15, the Tommy bar didn't fit through. So it goes through the first stage, which is great, but then it doesn't get through to the second stage. If you notice, it's getting progressively thinner or fatter, depending on how you look at it. And the one on each side of it does. So it's obviously a fault where they've drilled it. I'm just going to take a metal bit out and just go and bore it a little bit wider. I'm not too worried about that, so I'm not going to bother sending it back or anything, but it just shows that some of these cheap tools, these are the quality concerns that you get with them. Another thing you have with, just generically with box spanners, is the fact that you're working with this bar here. The fact that it slides in and out is actually pretty useful sometimes, because you can maneuver it around obstacles. So you can tighten up a little bit, drop it to the other side, and then tighten up some more. Really, really good for that. But sometimes you might want to improvise, so have a little think about when you've got tools such as stubby screwdrivers that you can fit through. You can get that extra torque without having to worry about having the length of a Tommy bar. The other thing is, if you're using the smaller ones, trying to maneuver a Tommy bar, bear in mind it can only fit just to that point there. Trying to maneuver that whole Tommy bar, it can be pretty difficult. So that's when you can improvise with things such as Allen keys and so on to get that extra torque that you need. So just a couple of little pointers there. This is probably why they've just been superseded so much by socket sets, but it's not to say that you don't need one of these. These are extremely useful under a lot of conditions, and sometimes they're just the right tool for the job. So yeah, consider these or a set like these. I don't think you can go wrong. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please feel free to do so. Send me a message. I always do my best to reply to them. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.